If we don't go to the news comes to us. This is Seraphim Hanish, American in Exile, coming to you from Moscow in the evening of Saturday, June 24th, 2022. And we've got news. It has come to us, and it apparently seems to be coming to us. As many of you probably know, the chief of Wagner PMC, Evgeniy Prigozhin, and his troops for Wagner Private Military Corporation, which he is the owner of, are currently stirring up a lot of trouble, apparently, in Rostov-on-Don. There are reports of them approaching Voronezh, which is a place where there are nuclear weapons facilities, and there was a report that said that they are 3 hours outside of Moscow at the time of the report. I'll try to put up pictures of these things for reference, but keep in mind that these reports are uncorroborated. So I have no way of knowing if this stuff is true. It is just what is being pushed out on Telegram. It may well be true, and there is a reason that I think that there is possible. And that is this. After President Putin's speech this morning, which of course he condemned the idea of an internal rebellion, which Prigozhin seems to have gotten his people to start to do, so President Putin is condemning that, naturally. And after the speech, everything went quiet. Hold on a second, let's get some less noise. I live in one of the most beautiful cities in the world, but I live in one of the worst districts because it's so full of noise and equipment all the time. Anyway, Evgeniy Prigozhin said that regular Russian forces had attacked his forces from the rear, and apparently that was enough for him, and he was on a mission. Another one. I'll show you what we got. It ain't military, folks. It's the water tractors. Okay? They're just doing their work. And they seem to want to do all their work now. Okay. Now, maybe we'll get some quiet. All right, let me try again. Evgeniy Prigozhin this morning said, or it was reported this morning or late last night, that he said that regular Russian forces had attacked his people from behind. And it has been apparently a long-standing issue that Prigozhin does not respect Sergei Shoigu, who is the Minister of Defense for the Russian Federation. And so he said that he was out to get him. He was on a mission to get him. There was some language apparently that said that he did not have any disrespect for President Putin. But to tell you the truth, everything is changing rather quickly in terms of the narrative today. So what I'm telling you now may be later proven untrue. It may be worse. It may be nothing. I'm just trying to tell you what seems to be going on. And we'll try to go from there, okay? So one of the things that happens in any war is you have the fog of war situation, and how much more so is it true when the internal security of Russia itself is threatened, which it is right now. How serious that threat is not known to me, but there are some patterns in the way that the reporting is and is not being done that give me some concern. The biggest thing is the silence. On the major networks this morning, RT and Sputnik were both reporting on the events that were happening associated with the coup. And they reported them up until the time that President Putin gave a speech. And of course the speech was a good speech, but it's kind of dire because, you know, Russia's been through this kind of thing before. The last time was in 1993. When some people rebelled and some military people rebelled and tried to overthrow the government. And it was mostly the Russian grandmothers that faced them off and told them they'd better not fire a shot. The grandmothers won that time. History may or may not repeat itself. Certainly the rhetoric that is floating around right now is all based on similar ideas. Rally around the president, rally around the legitimate government of the Russian Federation that's elected by the people. Most of the people in Russia support President Putin, and so on. It's that kind of thing. And all of that is true. But the fact that it's being pumped with no other detail from major networks makes me concerned. I'm across the street here. As you can see, life here is pretty much normal. Nothing really going on right now. But this evening, while I was taking sneak peeks at the news during the church service, yes, that's not a good Christian thing, but I'm sometimes not a good Christian. There was a report that said that Prigozhin and his forces are attempting to seize nuclear weapons in the city of Voronezh, where there's a facility there, and that another report said that they were 3 hours outside of Moscow. I do know that the entrance to the southern entrances to the city, which would be logical, because Voronezh and Rostov-on-Don are south of here, as were Prigozhin's forces, as is the war. So that's logical. The southern entrance at Yasenevo district, which I know is pretty far straight south, apparently is blocked. There are pictures. I'll try to have pictures so you can all see. Hopefully my narration will be behind the pictures that you do see. And so here we are. Apparently they're coming, and the rhetoric was that in a few hours, says Prigozhin, we will have a new president, and President Putin is in unknown whereabouts, possibly St. Petersburg. That is not in itself terribly unusual. President Putin usually is not in Moscow anyway, but if he is in Petersburg, he could be anywhere in Russia. I'm sure the man has all kinds of places to be that are perfectly safe and well defended. So that he is going to Petersburg, honestly, folks, it doesn't really say anything. He might be there because he has to do something there anyway that has nothing to do with these events. Okay? We don't know. But the concern here is about what Evgeniy Prigozhin is. Now, I am not a Russian. Anybody who listens to my talks knows that I support the Russians in the war that they are fighting against the Western proxies through Ukraine. But I have a message for Evgeniy Prigozhin. From my view, as an outsider, for what it's worth, I would say, dear Mr. Prigozhin, what you are doing is unbelievably selfish to your nation. The Russian people are good. They are generally very kind. They certainly are not without their share of problems. But one of the things that has held this country in such high esteem for me is how patriotic it is and how much people love it. It's one of the reasons that I am here, because in being with these people, I come to love my own country more and remember why it was founded. And you, sir, are acting only in your own interest. I don't see any sign here that you're doing anything for the benefit of the Russian people. I should have said something about it when you made your victory speech outside or in Bakhmut, where you called your force the best force in the world and kind of treated the Russian forces as second rate. It was easy to hide because it was your forces that won the day in Bakhmut, and it seemed like maybe that's as far as it goes. But looking at this event today and yesterday, I see radical selfishness and egotism, and it's destructive to this country. And the best thing that you can do is to stop it and just give it up as quickly as possible. But what happens to you is really, you've done something that no person should do, especially to their home country in time of war. I love my country. You know, I have sometimes advocated for overthrow of the American government as it stands because of the elitists in it. But you know, first the means of doing that should be civil. They should be not with military, even though sometimes I'm mad enough to do that myself, but to actually do it. And to do it only for your own glory, that's even worse. I mean, my own cause and the cause of conservative people in the United States is that the government is no longer thinking about the needs of the people, and it is no longer working for the people, which is how our government is supposed to act according to our Constitution. What you are doing, sir, is completely different. You're making this all about yourself, and I don't like it. It's not cool. And people are going to die because you want your moment of glory, and that is not cool. So that is my say. This is going to be a very short broadcast. I don't think there's really anything else that needs to be said. Please understand that whether you are on Russia's side in the conflict or Ukraine's side in the conflict, this situation is extraordinarily dangerous, because if a man who is as egocentric as Mr. Prigozhin appears to be, if somebody like him gets in power, it's not going to go good. Okay? It's not going to go good for Ukraine. It's not going to go good for the West. It's not going to go good for the people in Russia. Nobody wins. Nobody wins. President Putin has shown for 20 years plus a very principled sort of leadership. I know people will say, he's a thug, he's a murderer. Well, you might want to check your history, okay, because that's not exactly true. He has fought for his country. He is a low-profile guy. He does not seem to love the spotlight. He seems to be absolutely devoted to helping the Russian Federation get on its feet, and there are many, many people here that are extremely grateful to him for what he has done, and I'm one of those people. It's one of the things that attracted me here. So to have some egotistical person, you might as well have Biden in power in Russia. You know, somebody who cares only about himself. Okay? So I strongly, strongly condemn this situation. And I cannot support such actions. There's no way I can support such actions, because they are too selfish to the people of the Russian Federation and to the world. And that's all I have to say about that. Please give your comments, questions. Still love to hear what everybody has to say. Spread this around to everybody that you can. And as possible, as situations warrant, I will try to give more reports as the situation develops. So this is Seraphim Hanish with the Duran, the American in Exile. I wish you a very good evening, a very safe evening, and God be with you.